Right, today you find me in a very cold and windy field full of sheep, and I'm standing in front of what's known as the Picardy stone. The Picardy stone was made by the ancient Picts, who were the peoples who lived in Scotland, the ancient tribal peoples that lived in Scotland before it became known as Scotland. They were given the name the Picts by the Romans. They called them the Picti, which means the painted ones, because they used to paint their face to go into battle, to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. And indeed it was the Picts who managed to repel the Romans from Scotland. The Roman Empire did manage to conquer the south of these isles. They did manage to conquer what's now called England, but they didn't manage to conquer Scotland because of the Picts. The Picts were these fierce warriors, very mysterious people. And around here it's one of their power bases, I think, because up there on that hill, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's an old fort up there that used to be a Pictish fort. It's now got a castle on it. We'll go up there next. And also Benahee, which is that hill just there, has got an ancient fort on top of it as well. And all around this area there are loads of these Pictish stones just scattered around the area, and we might see some of them today. But this one is called the Picardy stone. It was made around 1300 to 1500 years ago, as we can see on the sign here. I'm not sure if you can read that, but it says this Pictish symbol stone was probably erected 1300 to 1500 years ago, and then it just says it's got some symbols on it, but we're not really sure what any of the symbols mean. It says they may record who was buried here. Alternatively, the symbols could indicate the tribal links or status of the deceased, or perhaps the symbol stone records a right to land or power. So nobody's really sure what it means, but it's just very interesting, very mysterious. And they did become Christians in around the 5th or 6th centuries when Christianity came to these isles. They became Christians, and so sometimes on the back of these symbol stones there are crosses and Christian imagery, but not on this one. So this must be a slightly older one, because it just has these very weird symbols on the front. So today, I think what we're going to do after this is we're going to go up to that fort that I pointed out earlier. It's called the Dunnydeer Hill Fort. We're not going to go up that one because it's a bit of a slog, but we're going to go up that one, and then we'll see where the wind takes us after that. But I need to get back into the car because it's absolutely freezing. Ugh. But yes, that's a very interesting thing. I'll just take some photographs and then we'll be on our way. I've got some pups in the car that are very desperate for their walk, so at least they'll get a walk up there on the hill. So let me take some photographs and then we'll be on our way. Another reason I like coming to this part of Aberdeenshire is these trees. I love how these trees make a tunnel. And it's even nicer in spring and summer because they have the leaves and it creates this canopy, this kind of full tunnel effect. But even now, I just love how these old gnarly trees kind of line the road. It kind of reminds me a bit of the dark hedges in Northern Ireland, which are really famous, of course, and this is not famous at all. And I've never actually been to the dark hedges, so I don't know how they compare in reality, but I always kind of imagine they would be a bit like this. And yeah, I like to get some photographs here. I'm not sure how they'll turn out right now because we don't have the full canopy of leaves, but I'm going to try and get some photographs of me running down this road to give it a bit of interest. I've done this in the past and I've liked the results, but as I say, because it doesn't have the leaves out, I'm not sure how it's going to look, but we'll give this a go. Poor dogs are looking at me like, what's going on? We've been in the car for ages. We have not had a walk yet. So we are definitely on our way to the Hill Fort now, so they can get a runabout. They're going to be like coiled springs here. 1, 2, 3, go! Okay, here we are on the ascent up to Dunnydeer Hill Fort, which I always think of as being the most impressive, least impressive castle in this area. Sorry, I shouldn't do this while I'm climbing up hills. I should have learned my lesson from last week. That climbing up hills and talking at the same time is not for me. Yeah. I just sound like I'm dying all the time when I'm climbing up hills and trying to talk. I think it might be the oldest mainland castle in all of Scotland. It dates back to like the 1100s, I think. So there's not much left of it. and that's why it's not impressive, but at the same time it really commands this really beautiful view. And there's something about it, even though it's just basically an arch that's left, and therefore it's quite a generous thing to call it a castle. There's something about that big arch up on the hill that just looks quite impressive to me, and the fact it is so old. Right, here we are at Dunnydeer Hill Fort, and this is pretty much all it is. But if you think about it, the hands that made this lived about 900 years ago or so. That's incredible to me. The hands that laid all of these stones. If you think of all the things that have happened in world history since this was built, and it's still here to some extent anyway, I just find it incredible. But yeah, that's it. And something's been here actually since 250 BC. There have been people here going about their lives and living out their stories here for thousands and thousands of years. Think of all the stuff that would have happened in this area, all the battles. I'm getting lost in my imagination again. And I love the views up here as well. Anyway, I'll take some photographs and I'll have a wander about, and we'll be on our way. I was just heading off to the next destination when I spotted this in the middle of a field, and I've never seen it before. It's a stone circle, or at least it's the remains of a stone circle. So we're just in the shadow of where we just were, so that's Dunnydeer Hill Fort up there. We're only about a mile or two away from it, and this is a recumbent stone, which is part of a stone circle, which I can't see any other remains of it. So these are very unique to this part of Scotland. You don't get this type of stone circle anywhere else that I'm aware of. Maybe Ireland, there might be a few there, but except for that, these only exist in this part of Scotland. And this is a massive one. I've never seen one this big before. So they're thousands of years old, which is further evidence of how important and how populated this area was, I guess, in the past. And the idea behind recumbent stone circles is that this would create a kind of frame. So you've got the two on the side, and then you've got this one at the bottom. And then every so often, and I can't give you the technical terms or exactly what happened, but every so often the moon would appear up here. And at its highest point, every so number of years, the moon would appear as a full moon at its highest point in the sky, something like that. And when it appeared there, and when it was framed by the stone circle, things would happen, and they're not sure what, but I think it was probably sacrifice or something like that, because they tend to find remains of cremations around stone circles. So I imagine that when the moon was at its highest point and it was framed, then things would happen. It would be rituals and sacrifices and things like that. So yeah, in pre-Christian times, of course, in the pagan times. So yeah, thousands of years old again, and it's just further evidence that in this area there was lots of goings on. There was hill forts up there, there was stone circles for rituals and things, there's lots of Pictish stones, so this would have been a very busy area back in the day, full of life. And full of dodginess as well, I suspect. Okay, let's head on to the next thing. I just had a thought, I forgot to get photographs at that stone circle back there. Anyway, we're quite a bit further on now, so I don't know if I'll go back. But anyway, this is called Wardhouse. And it's an old mansion. It's not ancient, it's not prehistoric, it's only a few hundred years old. But I don't know much about it. I've been here before, and I did learn about it at one point, but I have no idea. So this is just me basically saying, look at this thing. And giving you no information on what it actually is. Have a guess at it and say that it was a very rich lord landowner that had it, and then most likely after the war he couldn't afford to keep it up anymore. He had no heirs, or his heirs couldn't afford to keep it up anymore because the industry they were involved in was no longer profitable, so he had to sell it, and he took off the roof to not be taxed on it, and it just fell into disrepair. It's actually for sale. There's a for sale sign up there, so if you want it, if you want to take it over and rebuild it, it's actually for sale. You get some lovely views, you get a good aspect, I think that's the word they use. It's got a good aspect. There's some sheep over the back of there, I think. I don't think you could have the sheep, but you could have the house, you could have the land. I don't know what the price is, but if I find it online I'll put it up just here along the bottom of the screen. But yeah, I imagine it would have been quite lovely in its day. Let's have a wander around the back here. I'm not going to go underneath it because it will be unstable and I don't want rocks falling on my head. Let's have a wander around the back and see what we can see. That looks like a little chapel in there with the doors, with the Gothic windows. I wonder if that was a chapel in the day, a personal chapel. That would have been the main entrance, I think, the main entrance hall. It would have been rather grand, I think. Yeah, there's not much left. It's just the shell. I imagine if you did want it, you just have to bulldoze the whole thing and start again. Or near enough anyway. But yeah, that's called Wardhouse. An abandoned mansion. I'll go take some photographs. Okay, here we are at our next stop. It's called Leith Hall and it's a National Trust property. So this is something that you can visit and go inside. It's not just a Ruckle of Steens. It's an actual standing house. But we're not going to go in it today because it's closed. We're just going to do a walk around the grounds, which I just discovered last year. I discovered there's some really nice grounds. And actually this tree, I just learned about this tree this morning. So this tree is called the Dew tree or the June tree. I'll just get a close up and I'll show you the sign. The Jewel tree, that's what it says. I knew it was something like that. And apparently this is where people were hung from. It was used as a gallows for people that had broken the Baron's law. So the jewel tree, tradition has it that this aged sycamore tree was at one time used as a gallows from which those convicted by Baron's law were hanged. The word jewel derives from the Gaelic and means grief. Old sycamores growing on mounds like this one are sometimes met with in Scotland near long inhabited sites and may have been used originally as places of mourning for members of a family or clan killed in battle. So it's a place of mourning, and it's also where people were killed if they broke the Baron's law. They were hung off of the branches of that tree, which makes it quite a sad tree. But yeah, I'm just going to take some photos of this before we crack on with the walk, because this is quite a good angle. I think this is probably the main old road into the castle, because there's quite a fancy bridge here over this stream. Some fancy turrets on the corners, and then I think that would be in the front entrance. I'm not sure if you can make it out, but just there it's a bit fancy. So yeah, anyway, we're going to carry on our walk. But I think this was probably the main road in at one point. The dogs are not impressed with me today with the amount of times I'm stopping, but hopefully this walk will do the trick and get the energy out. Let's go this way. Here we are coming up to a bridge over the railway line, and it would be really good if a train was to pass. It looks like quite a rickety bridge actually. It doesn't look like it's well made. It's made of wood and that stuff. But I would love it if a train was to come up that track right now, so I could get a good photograph of it, or even this track. That's a fancier bridge up there, it's made of stone. I think we'll come back that way. But yeah. Hopefully we'll get a train. Now if we turn right up here, there is a chapel, the old churchyard, as it says there. So let's go and have a look at that. Let's have a poke around if I can squeeze through this. There we go. The only thing I don't like about this churchyard is there's a very steep drop off the side on the right there onto the railway track. And last time I was here, I think Ollie was getting very close to the edge and I wasn't keen on that. But let's go and have a look. Alright, here we are at the old churchyard. Well, they don't make it easy to get into stuff like this for fat people. I'm not really that fat, but I am quite fat. Right, come in, Ollie. It's like a dog assault course. I don't mean to find myself wandering around gravestones as often as I do, but I was wandering around gravestones last week, wasn't I? I didn't mean to do that. Ollie, Rafa, stay here. Stay close. That is an old chapel. Ah, like it says, the names of the people. Leith Hall. Yeah, so that would be their mausoleum, I suppose. Rafa! This way. So I can confidently tell you that Leith Hall was once owned by the Leith Hall family. Actually, tell me something in the comments, because I've been thinking about this. Is it better if the videos are less edited and I'm just kind of wandering around like this and there's less chopping? Or does it get boring? Or is it kind of mellow and nice? Because some of the vlogs that I watch, I quite like it when they're just chilling and not much is happening and they're just showing you the countryside and stuff, and they're not trying to show you the highlights. It's just more easy-ozy, you know? It's just a little bit more kind of natural and authentic, I suppose. I kind of like those vlogs, and I like chill vlogs. So is it nice to be in this kind of environment and just enjoy the environment? Is there something in that which is good, or would you rather that there was kind of action and you were seeing stone circles and houses and things like that? Let me know in the comments. Maybe what I could do is, instead of trying to stuff loads of things into one vlog, I could just go on one walk to one place and kind of record it almost continuously. There was a programme on the BBC that used to be like that, where they would ask celebrities to have a selfie stick and a camera on the end of it, and they'd just wander around their favourite walks, and then they'd waffle about the things that they saw. I think I'm still trying to figure out what this vlog is and what I want it to be and what I want it to look like. I think that's okay, because I think in general that's how it works. We're nearly back at the beginning, and I think I'll probably head home from here. I'm not sure if I'll go anywhere else. It's been quite a few hours we've been out and about. We've seen quite a few things today. Again, I hope you've enjoyed it. There might be some things on the way back. It's quite a spectacular kind of road on the way back, so I might stop again. But apart from that, let's just wander up to the house. Yeah, this definitely looks like the front door. In fact, they've got an Amazon package sitting out there. Definitely looks like the front door to me.